Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30. We have a workshop and we have a special board meeting. We're going to start with our workshop first. The first item on the agenda is the 2025-2026 revised district calendar.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, I'll welcome my two colleagues, Mr. Jacob Smith, Assistant Superintendent, Network B, and Ms. Kathy Hale, our Coordinator of Student Data and School Counseling. So what they're going to go through is an overview of a modification to our calendar. Obviously, we had been off for 6 days out of school, and in order to make up some time, we need to modify, that's my recommendation, will be to modify the schedule with just a few modifications. So I will turn it over to Ms. Hale and let her go from there. And we have spoken with both CPPC and LPPC regarding the calendar change. Ms. Hale, Mr. Smith, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. What you see before you is our proposal that we've already presented to LPPC and CPPC for, go ahead to the first one. First of all, the Arkansas Act 688 of 2021 allowed us to adopt an alternate calendar. We did adopt that calendar for the 25-26 school year, which requires us to have a minimum of 1,068 hours of total instructional time. And we report 380 instructional minutes each full-length school day this year. We do realize that some buildings have slightly more minutes than that, but as a district, because I verified this with the ADE, we have to report our school that has the least amount so that the district makes it all up as a whole. Everyone's doing the same thing. And state law requires a minimum of 360 a day, so we're reporting 380. That's how we bank those minutes. We missed 6 days of school due to inclement weather, and that was 2,160 minutes. The school days are listed there, and so our banked minutes allow us enough to cover 3 of those 6 days that we missed, but we will need to add 3 additional days back in to meet our state requirement for instructional time. So the superintendent has proposed that we use those 3 dates: Thursday, February 12th, which was originally a parent-teacher conference day, with the next day being a non-attendance day. So this proposal makes Thursday, February 12th, a regular school day, and Friday, February 13th, a parent-teacher conference day, with the exception of Pikeview.
Pre-K.
They will remain the same. March 13th was originally slated as a professional development day for teachers, so this proposal makes that day a regular school day. And May 22nd was originally slated as a professional development day for teachers, and this would make that date a regular school day and move the last day of school from May 21st to May 22nd. This proposal also required us to change the end of the third 9 weeks by 2 days, because there is a state law requirement that we meet a minimum of 40 days in each grading period, and we weren't going to meet that if we did not do so. This proposal, like I said before, would move the last day of school from the 21st to the 22nd, which really doesn't change for teachers because they were coming that day anyway for professional development. So those are the 3 days. This was voted on and approved by both CPPC and LPPC.
Yeah, the only thing I want to add is that we've heard recently from ADE that they're moving the Atlas assessment window back by a week because many schools have missed a week of instruction. So that's a good thing. That gives us another week of opportunity to get caught up. That is kind of part of this pseudo, not directly but indirectly. We'll be happy to take any questions.
Anybody on my left have any questions?
Just for clarification, you said not everyone's doing the same minutes?
So obviously, since some different levels go different hours of the day.
Okay, so that's how it works.
Yeah, so, and they report their instructional minutes, and then we take the minimum of that. I've checked with other school districts that do this minute calendar, and that they do that exactly the same way.
Okay.
Specifically, Cabot and us.
And then you did say, just for reiteration, LPPC and CPPC have already signed off on this, so we're good. So they know that next week they're working and we will have students on that day.
K through 12. Yes, ma'am. Pre-K will.
Pre-K.
pre-K's nuance is that they do not have to make up days because of the ABC laws that they're under, and they are on a full year calendar where we're on an alternative calendar now. And so the only caveat that would be asked, and it's been communicated to Dr. Paluski, is the licensed staff has asked that we don't do a 12 to 6 on Friday for parent-teacher conferences, and so we adjust that.
Absolutely.
Network A and Network B are getting feedback from principals, and so we will push that information out in the memo. But what you are physically passing tonight is parent-teacher conferences being on Friday, and the district will communicate any changes or nuances in that.
Very good, thank you.
Anytime.
Yeah, that was the only thing I had. I had several people reach out about the hours on
Yes.
Friday. They wanted 8:30 to 3:30. They said that was not confirmed, but they wanted to reiterate that
Absolutely.
they didn't want to go to 6. So
Sure.
that's
Makes complete sense. You don't wanna
Especially
go to
with it
6
being
on
a Friday.
Sure.
okay.
And we just asked them to work with our principals to
And
come up with a
that question
time.
did come up in the LPBC meeting, and we just stated this, we're really voting on the date at this
Okay.
time, and then, as
Yeah, the
Mr. Smith
administration
said, we
will
can.
take care of working with our teachers and staff, so
Very good.
we don't want them there till 6 o'clock on a Friday night.
Be
either.
to our staff, be looking for a memo tomorrow that provides clarity at
Very good.
all levels and for the days next week.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Phone system replacement.
And we welcome Mr. Riddle, who's doing double duty tonight. Mr. Riddle, our Director of Information Technology. Welcome, Mr. Riddle.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, board
evening.
members, Dr. Paluski.
Yes,
How are
sir.
y'all?
All right.
Thank you.
Hopefully a little less frozen than we were last week. So tonight I'm going to talk about a replacement phone system. I'll remember talking to Mike this time. Our phone system is super old, to be blunt about it, and it's time for it to be replaced. So currently we have a Montel ShoreTel system. The official end of life is 2728. However, that has been moved up 3 times already. Originally it was supposed to be 2030. They keep moving up. I'm expecting to be next week. So we also can't update the server that it runs on without it breaking the system entirely. So when people's voicemails disappear during the day, that's because the server got an update that we are mandated to do for our cybersecurity policy. So we have to roll it back. So it's that capacity for what it is. It's about 10, 15 years old at this point. The software is showing its age, and it is becoming more unreliable the longer it goes. Excuse me. So we evaluated 3 systems to look at replacing. We did Zoom Phone, Cisco WebEx, and FortiVoice, and we decided we're going to go with FortiVoice. It offers the most bang for the buck. We'll get some great new features that I'm sure some people are going to love, call recordings. So, yep, that's coming. Soft phones. So with the soft phones, one thing we're going to do if you already have say a district cell phone, so like in my case, I have a desk phone and a district cell phone. So with this, I'll just download the app on my district cell phone, and if someone calls my district desk phone, it'll ring that
Sweet.
number as long as I'm connected to our network here.
Sweet.
It has a follow me feature. So say if Dr. Pelusi's out in a building, he needs to take an important call, he'll have a pin he can punch into anyone's phone, and it'll act as his phone temporarily.
Okay.
It also has a failover feature to where as long as we don't have to isolate a building like we did last year with the middle school, it'll automatically fail to a cell phone if we need to. For survivability, excuse me, we looked at a couple different options, and the simplest solution, the most cost effective, is just to put a bat phone in each building. That's basically a cell phone. That, hey, if our main phone lines are down, post this on your social media, this is your number temporarily. That's more cost effective than anything else we've looked at.
We've had that several times where
We
phones have been
have.
down. And
Yep. It is, unfortunately, reality we live in. With this, too, it has eFax built in. Currently, we pay for a separate service with that, so that would be a different service we can move away from. It has some enhanced 911 safety features. Chief, if you're watching, it'll be compliance with Ray Vaughan's Act and Carey's Law, which requires that when someone picks up the phone, information that we provide to 911 services tells them where they're at. And it will also allow safety services to listen into the emergency calls. That way, Chief's department knows what's going on if one goes out. It's capital expenditure. It's a buy once, cry once. I put a little asterisk there because there's a little software renewal that we've already budgeted for in my budget every year. We talked to Tulsa Public Schools, Union Public Schools, and Tulsa Community College about this. They've had this system for about 10 years now. They all love it. And they said it's pretty reliable. And Tulsa Community College has about 3,000 handsets. They said they replace about 10 a year. So they're pretty reliable for it. So we're going to downsize a little bit. Currently, we have 515 handsets across the district. We're going to go down to 300. Colonel and I looked at the numbers across the district. There's a lot of them that are collecting dust, for lack of a better term, that aren't being used, so we're not going to replace those. So what we're doing right now is principals, APs, counselors, nurse, cafeteria, library, secretaries, and the workrooms and sped self-contained will all receive a phone. If buildings need more than that, that'll be at their cost to buy an additional handset. We have included for admin as well, every bill will have, I have a spreadsheet I'll put in my board report this week with those numbers. Survivability fund will be a district cell phone. So with that comes new hardware. There's 3 different models. One is for like principal office, things like that. The 4AB is for the front office. That's the bigger, fancier ones with the sidecars, so they have everyone's extension there, and so they can have multiple calls sitting on that. The basic one's a lounge phone for teacher use. Plays their cell phone. They'll use the soft app. It's telling me to hurry up and shut up. Employees will also have the option to take the calls via desktop. There's a desktop app as well. Say they don't want to use the physical desktop phone, they can use it on their computer. So for costs, the first year cost is $120,000, which is a lot better than we thought it was going to be. Initially, we thought it was going to be about $250K, so we're very happy with that. And normally, I give you an inflated number, a little bit, just a little bit. That is the actual number for that. After that, the software renewal costs about $15,000 a year. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions to my right?
Did those numbers just update? I'd have sworn I read something different
Yes,
earlier.
Yes, the one that was on posted, yes, it has been updated since
Okay,
then. Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Anybody on the left? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle.
1.3, wraparound services student attendance.
So we'll welcome our dream team with Dr.
So is this
Stoll,
the
our-
color red or something? Team red?
It was unplanned.
Yeah, Dr. Stoll, I'll turn it over to you. Please introduce your colleagues that are with you, and we're excited to listen to your report.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Poliski, I am thrilled tonight to be here with my colleagues, Miss Nikki Hughes is what I call her because I can't pronounce her other name, and she is the rep from the high school, and then Sarah Robertson, y'all. It's been a long day. I've been meeting some. Our coordinator of Wraparound Services. But before I get started, I also want the RAPs that are here to support their team back there to stand up because they are amazing, and I'm so glad they're here.
Yes, they are.
And before we give this report, I just want to let y'all know how proud I am of this team and the work they're doing. You're going to hear some really exciting things tonight. But they're working with some really hard cases, and the stories that you hear and the things that they're going home. I've talked to Nikki before that she told me I lay awake at night just worried about kids and where they're going. And that 24-hour turnaround that we really wanted to happen, we're seeing that happen. And I'm just so proud of this team and the work they're doing. This is the behind-the-scenes stuff that's a little bit different than the academics and the letter grades we're always talking about. They're doing the hard stuff, and so I'm so proud of this team, and I'm so proud to be the leader of this team. So I'm going to, before she starts, you heard from our principals about the lower quartile and the bottom 25%. So we wanted to bring the RAP team here tonight because they're going to tell you how they're helping with that bottom quartile and the chronic absenteeism, because a lot of those students that are in the bottom quartile are also chronically absent. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Robertson.
Thank
not
you.
Ms. Rogers.
I'm so excited not to be the last speaker. Thank you so much. So when we start, I just wanted to kind of center us on when I first presented, which is this fact that 25% of a student who is chronically absent any year between 6th and 9th grade has only a 25% of graduating rate from high school on time. Woo, I got, what
You
was
have
that?
my disease, sorry.
Conversely, yeah,
Just one second. Is what you're
I
presenting
am
is
so
different
sorry. What I'm
than
presenting is different because I
Okay.
have brand new data and I
Okay.
snuck it in.
All right.
So we'll
Um,
make sure that Mr. Riddle gets that to Ms.
He-
Colquitt so she can
Yes,
she can post it.
I apologize. Oh, he's doing it right now. Good job. So
Wait, she said, is that different from what you sent her?
it is.
It is. It's additional.
This is what, yep, there's a
most
couple extra
updated.
slides.
Okay.
No worries.
Okay.
Mr. Riddle, can we go back to that? Thank you. So what we know is if folks are coming to school, they're graduating on time and on track. So what I told you I was going to do in the beginning of the year was look at our graduation rate by graduating class, and that's exactly what this is. The blue line means that those students have missed less than 5%. The mid-green is 5 to 99%, and then, or 9.9%, and then the green is 10 or higher. I think it's really interesting. So what I did was say, whoa, the high school's doing great. And the class of 2029 is really doing amazing. And so I checked in with Nikki and said, what are y'all doing at the high school to make sure that our graduation rates are so great? And so I'm going to have her talk about her intervention meetings real quick.
Okay, you want me to read off of this, or you want me to just?
I just want you to talk.
Okay,
Speak from
so
the heart. Yeah.
speak from the heart. So, do you, can he go to the?
It's all of it.
My bad. I'm gonna go to my slide.
There you go.
Okay, so this. Let me actually go back.
Is this one in
Get
here?
that mic on, girl.
I'm sorry. Is the mic on? Okay. So this is a model that I started at the high school, but this is my model. But let me go back. When I came over to the high school, I've only been at the high school a year and a half. Not many of you all know that. And one of the things Dr. St. Louis was like, I'm doing interventions, but I now want to add, which at that time I was a PEP, so RAPs were added to that model. So that model includes the assistant principal, the dean, the counselor, and now the RAP. So what you're seeing right now is, that's because something shouldn't be on there. So there,
Oh, sorry.
it has the student number, and then this is where every student at the high school, based by academy, any student that has 6 or more absences, I contact. So what you're seeing is they get a letter, they also get a phone call. You don't see a check there, but those phone calls are happening not just by me, they're happening with the counselor, and they're also happening with the teachers. They also get a letter. So this is the part of the truancy that I explained to you, Dr. P, that is a really part of the law. So the law states that anytime that student reaches half the mark of 13, we have to notify them. So when you see where it says they received that first truancy letter, that's the letter. So when parents say no one's contacted them, they're getting contacted. They're also getting phone calls throughout the day when a student misses a class per period. They're getting that. So let's use the second one that's in red. So the red students are all the students that I've had to file a truancy on. So they got a 6-day letter, they got a 9-day letter, they got a 9-day email, and then they got a second truancy letter, and then on there it says the truancy was filed 12/5. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in letter form, not including in phone call, that we are touching that student. Now, the way it would be if I had my computer, it's based off of academy. So every academy has a tab where I can keep up. So in our meetings, when we have intervention meetings every week. So every team has an intervention meeting. So in those meetings, these students are talked about as well as students that have behavior or academic issues. Why it's so important for this is because it also helps us to correlate why that student is having behavior issues or what else is going on with that student. So then when we pull that student in and we're like, you're missing 9 days, what's going on? Then when we get in there, we end up finding out, well, I don't have a place to live. Or my mom doesn't have transportation and we're now living in Jacksonville. Or my mom, and just being honest, my mom does not value me coming to school, so I don't get up and come to school. But it's a basis for us to be able to look at that data and be able to say, hey, this is what's going on. I've done this spreadsheet for the last year and a half, and I'll be honest with you, I think I presented to you guys a while ago, and I said to you, even with all of this data, we still are under 10% at the high school for absenteeism. Is it perfect? No. but considering the number of students that we have at the high school,
That's right.
we're doing the best that we can. The benefit of this is Sarah, all the assistant principals, Dr. St. Louis, all have access to this as well as the counselors. So if a parent calls and said, oh, or they call you all, no one's contacting me, it's easy for me to pull that spreadsheet up and they have access to it. Well, a letter went out to you on this day. I know you've received a phone call. Did you get the truancy letter on this date? There's a lot of activity before we get to the truancy. And I know Sarah has been, and Dr. P and Dr. Stowe, there's been a letter that went out, you know, explaining how we're trying to combat this and that we're at the last resort is filing truancy. You see how many procedures we've gone through before we have filed the truancy. So we're doing the work before it gets to that point.
Those are certified letters, Ms. Hughes?
Yeah, so they're not certified letters. However, when we drop a student, one of the things that Dr. St. Louis implemented this year is that we send a certified letter so a student doesn't come back on campus not knowing they've been dropped. But before we drop a student, I have to shout out Tiffany Randall. We started doing wellness checks as well. So before we drop and get to the truancy letter, our North Little Rock PDs, SROs, go and do a wellness check before we drop a student. That was based off the conversation we had with you, Dr. P, at the beginning of the year, that we make sure that we know what students. A lot of times, students are not there, the families have moved, but at least we have documentation that we've done what we can to try. And Dr. Rogers, if you remember, that was something you had asked at the beginning of the year as far as tracking as well. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there, that before we drop in students, we've done all due diligence to be able to find them. There's another piece on here that I don't think is on here, Sarah. Is that the interventions? Is that in here?
It's right before it.
Okay. So these are interventions that every AP team for every academy has. So on here, as you see the student numbers, we're multiple. That means that there's multiple issues going. So it could be attendance, behavior, or grades. As you see where it says Hughes and Ford met with, this is the freshman one. Hughes and Ford met with grandmother about 5:04. This is just showing the detail that we go into as for interventions so that we can go back and say, this is what we've done now. This is something that Dr. St. Louis has put on us. But it also says who's doing it. So then we can go back and hold people accountable. Did you call the parent? But as you see, it talks about grades. It talks about the phone calls. Student is failing 3 classes. We put up a behavior intervention plan. So that's where the attendance sheet that I'm working with coincides with this intervention model. And that, I'll be honest with you, I believe it works at the high school. It helps us to keep track of our kids where they can't get lost, because we can easily go back and we all have access to each model. So we can say, so like even a kid that's a senior, it's easy for us to go back and say, say Ms. Brunson, if that kid was on Ms. Brunson, is there any history with that kid? We can also go back and see what the history is, what that kid was from last year.
I'm going to show you how it works. So I started digging into the data, and this is why there's a new presentation. I was looking at the average absence rate for our freshmen, because when I first started, I heard the 8th graders last year had some real challenges. And so I was really surprised that the freshman class had such a low absence rate. If you see here, that dotted line at the top is the national standard. So after 8th grade, nationally, what happens is folks end up being more and more absent and dropping off. What we've seen in the past 2 years is that our absentee rate has gone down by 50 and 60%. That's good. That's good. And so these are the hard numbers that you'll see the class of 2028, 2029, and 2030. What this tells me is that we need to implement this program. We know it's working in the high school, so with a differentiated model, how can it work in the middle school? And then how can we use our elementary schools to prepare for students and prepare families for how this works? So what we're going to be using is the relational dosage model. It's an attendance strategy that is founded on research from Johns Hopkins University. It's what the Everyone Graduates Center is using. Attendance Works is using it. It's a shift in approach from moving from reacting to absences to building relationships with students and preventing those absences. So all of the emergency care that we've been doing the past 6 months, the kind of start of this work, doesn't go away. But the work really is, how do we look at the absence, track that data, and then use our community resources to help with those emergency needs so that our RAPs aren't finding beds and blankets and trying to figure out absences, right? So how do we make that community bigger? Clarifying roles is really important. So this is a model that we're going to start this semester, but next year we really want to roll with fidelity and learn from this semester. Use data early. So we know what the data is now. We can track folks year over year. And there's so many good things happening in our schools already. So starting Monday, I'm going to be meeting with the elementary school RAP so that we can kind of unify how we do stuff for the rest of the year. And then we're also going to do the same with the secondary on Tuesday. And then really focus on connection. And this is the part that is challenging because it doesn't always feel like work. When you see somebody in the hall giving high fives, saying, I'm so glad you're here, sometimes that feels like something that feels good, but that's actually scientifically the work that needs to happen in order for kids to have a connection. The other piece is disconnecting behavior from attendance. So RAPs will not, their job is to be a safe place. We saw that this week with Ms. Hughes. There was a student that was getting in trouble, and she's like, can I just go talk to Ms. Hughes for a little bit? Was able to share all of those confidential things. Doesn't mean we're not going to hold that student accountable. It just means that they have a safe place to land, and they know they're not going to get in trouble. So these are the unified operational standards. One is secured entry into the building. After that first bell rings, we need parents to walk their student in and sign them in. We need that to happen across the district. You know how schools are. Sometimes people are like, well, I know so-and-so and we're good. No exceptions. The other is centralizing the legal process. So we have met with the city attorney's office. Tiffany Randall and I are on the same page, and we're making sure that all building principals have those FINS reports. And if anything goes to the city attorney directly, if it doesn't come from us, she's going to shred it because she doesn't have it validated. So we need to make sure that we have that process in. Compliance and communication, we're going to implement the process of having that documented. And then finally, being proactive and using mitigation first. So we don't want our families to have to be in the legal system. FINS is the last resort. We have the resources to do services. So let's figure out all the services that we can provide and then use that last resort in an effective way so that we're not overcrowding the court system. This is the tiered support model that we're using. So tier 1 is we have about 51% of our students are in tier 1, which is actually really great. If we could get that 25% that are in tier 2 with 4 or more, if we could get that down to maybe 15% and maybe the tier 3 at 5%, I would be pretty happy. But this is kind of where we're starting with. This is where we are currently with our schools. If you look at absentee by school, the yellow is that 10% or higher. And after the last board meeting, I know that the amazing Miss Valley spoke about the work that she's doing, and there was a lot of, we need to get some help. And so we have an emergency help model, and it's this. So we have prioritized our D and F schools that they will have a full-time RAP in their school. The schools that are performing a little bit higher will have somebody who's on call, which means if they need services, if they need help with a meeting, any of that sort of thing, they'll be over there. We've also hired a full-time specialist in our pantry, and so we have somebody who can and has delivered food, delivered clothes, done shopping, all of those things. And so it's really freeing those RAPs up to really focus on this work. And then this is the framework that we're using. So we've scaled the model for the 2 different types of schools. We have our priority schools where the wraparound services team will lead the implementation of our attendance work. And then we have our standard implementation schools where implementation will be led by the campus support team, and then they have the RAPs to call on. So really triaging, let's get those folks who need the help now. Then let's reassess this summer and figure out what worked and what didn't, and then we can move from there. That is it.
All right.
Great job.
Anybody to my left has some questions?
I noticed you said that can you go back to where you said signing in, check-in?
Uh-huh.
So I know we have some students that are on their own.
Mm-hmm.
How do we work around?
That's different. So if we have a student that we know is on their own, especially in the high school, then the front office, that's why the interventions work.
Information is shared.
Because we're sharing that information. We're saying, Nikki's going to go to the front office and say, so-and-so is, living at a MERS right now. They're on their own. And then we can have the conversation with them as the adult that they are, because they're responsible for their attendance.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
Most of those that are coming in late are not those students.
Yeah.
I think, Dr. P, you were in the building one day, and most of the students, and I actually have a great example. I have a student that is a senior that was coming to school every day at like 10:30. And the student was driving on their own, and because we have the cell phone policy, the mom came and got the phone. Well, the reason her number wasn't correct in the system, so she wasn't getting the phone calls. The dad was who we made the contact with. He came and got the phone. When the mom came, I'm at the end of the day, I give out the cell phones out to the parents, and which is a wonderful thing because you get to meet some of the parents. So I said, ma'am, can you help me get your daughter to school before 10:30? She's like, what are you talking about? And I said, she's lost credit in her A1 and B1 class. And she was like, what? She drives to school every day. And I said, yeah, she doesn't get here on time. Well, what she was doing also, because she got home before her parents, she's hiding the letters as well. So mom did get the number changed, but most of it are our students who drive or they walk to school. And I've shared with Sarah, and it actually came up last year before when we had talked about this. Is there a way to make, if you inconvenience parents to get their kids to school, they'll get their kids to school. And that's what happened with this particular student. That parent started bringing their kid because they started losing credit. She wants her child to graduate. So I say that, yes, it's not those kids that have the barriers. We have done a great job of making sure they have bus transportation or other ways to get to school. You'd be surprised, it's not those kids.
Okay, thank you.
I just think of all the kids that we talk about that slip through the cracks. And y'all have put putty in the scraps.
It's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Yes, they have.
We're doing our best.
And it's awesome. You're doing these, trying to make some standard operating procedures.
Yes.
From K up through 12. I love that. I feel kind of giddy right now. Everything that I read, I know the presentation I read through isn't the one that y'all gave tonight, but a lot of it was. And I just applaud y'all for the work you're doing, the wraparound folks in the buildings. I mean, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
really is.
And Ms. Robertson, I know that you came in and got this thing rolling, and we appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Kudos. That's all I'm going to say, because you know I got lots to say.
I
So
know.
kudos. You are in the work. You are doing the work. This is the vision. This is the plan. This is what we wanted. This is what we've been asking for. And hallelujah, you finally are here, and we're to the point, and we've got everyone working together. So thank you. Thank you.
Madam, to my right.
Yes, it is impressive, and I want some clarification. I thought I heard you say that the high school's chronic attendance is 10%. Is that what you said? But the school district overall is 26%. Is that what I read in the presentation? I guess what I'm saying is, no, I read it was what our.
So yes, and you're right, I don't have that in here. I took that slide out. So yes, right now we're about between 20 and 25% as a district, which is the national standard for high poverty school districts.
Okay.
So we are right there. The high school is performing much better.
Yes. So what you've done has reduced it that much.
And I'll be really
That's
honest.
just amazing.
It's not me. This happened last year. This is the vision of Dr. St. Louis that she implemented. And then Ms. Hughes has done with Fidelity and that team. Like the high school did this way before I even showed up. I just looked at the data and said, what are you doing? Let this works. It works for our students. I will also say, and I didn't say earlier, this data of the different cohorts, what I did was I took only students that started with us in the 6th grade and are still in the 9th and 10th. So these aren't students that have dropped out so the attendance rate has gone better. These are the exact same students that started us. So the exact same students that missed almost 10% of their days last year have missed less than 4% this year.
Right. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I am so happy to see all of the good news and the good works. One thing that I was thinking about when I was going through here reading some of the information was what about in the event, like you said, Ms. Hughes, that parents do not know some of the things that are going on and they maybe are inconvenienced. What about like a parent night where they have to maybe do like a parent academy or something like that, to where they have to come in maybe one evening and they have to maybe sit through a presentation and they see what it is that, you know, if your child doesn't do this, then this may happen, or they're losing this amount of class time minutes or what have you. So they can kind of see what it looks like.
That's a great idea. And I haven't had the chance to talk with y'all, but we actually, I don't think, did we do the parent survey data? We did a parent survey, and the number one thing parents want is communication. It's the thing that they said we do best and the thing that they said we do worst. So you know it's what they really want.
Right.
And I think that now that we have the foundation, now things like a parent night, now we can be purposeful with how we're reaching out to parents instead of doing the scatter shot of, we hope this works.
Yeah.
And I think that's an amazing idea.
Yeah, I think that would be something that you can they can come in and they can see it and then maybe have a better understanding of the inner workings of, you know, if they slip up on this end, then this can cause this. And then therefore, if you start that kind of stuff like in the 9th grade, they kind of have an idea of, okay, I need to keep my little stuff together here so I can graduate on time.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I would say Nikki and I probably talk to each other 5
We
times a
did
day.
it at the beginning when we changed the policy this year at the high school that if they reached the 8th absence, Dr. St. Louis had it at the beginning, and she separated from 9th grade, so when those 9th graders came in, they had a specialized, and we went over attendance at that, and we also did it for 10th through 12th. So at the high school at the beginning of the school year, we did do it. And also, something I did mention, so when that policy changed, when I send the letters out, I have created a flyer with the policy in there, so there's no excuse for them not to know what the policy is. It's in the letter. So, and even in my email, Sarah, I think I tagged you on an email today. In my email that I sent, I have the policy in there. So when parents are saying they're not receiving and they don't see the policy, they're getting it. They're getting it.
Thank you. I appreciate everything y'all do.
Thank y'all.
Can I say one
Yeah.
more thing?
Go ahead.
I'm going to piggyback off of you because I've been thinking this and saying this to a few people, that there is a captivated audience at the 8th grade graduation. We have parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and all kinds of folks that come. I don't know how 8th grade graduation will happen next year, but in the past they're at the high school auditorium, and it takes time because they do groups of kids, and in between moving the groups would be a perfect time to be running a video perhaps, or having somebody live on stage. But that's a time where you have a lot of parents, and all those kids then are going over to the high school the following year.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
So Ms.
Great
McLean,
idea.
last year at the end of last school year, when we were preparing for 9th graders, Dr. St. Louis did have a night for those groups that would be transitioning in, where we did, and I will tell you, the 8th grade that night and even the 9th, they're our biggest groups because the parents see that the school is so big. So it's getting out there. I mean, but I will say this, truthfully speaking, the parents that we need to get the information are the ones that don't show up. And I'm just going to be honest with you, Ms. McLean.
I understand that. I do.
The only thing I want to say is my dream is that there is a wrap for every single school and not have to share anybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe the only sharing would be if Ms. Valley is ill, somebody can step in until she gets back. But everybody.
She said, or in Paris.
Oh.
She's really into Paris coffee right now. So.
But that's my dream, is to try to figure out a way that every single school has their own wrap.
Yeah.
Versus having to share.
And I will just jump in, Madam Chair, is that even though we are not in every school, Sarah created a group chat for us this year. So even if one person doesn't have it at their school, we make it happen. So I just want you to know that. And
I believe that.
Yeah.
It's just selfishly, if I was still working
Yes,
at
ma'am.
school, I'd want my school.
Absolutely.
I selfishly want that too.
Yeah, we do.
And maybe
We
the
all
middle
want
school could
that.
have a few.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
have a
just
plan for.
tell you where that comes from is because Miss Valley is at Boone Park, and anytime that I want something, I'm calling, and if it's her turn to be at Amboy, I'm like, I'm upset because you not at Boone Park.
Pump your brakes
we
10
go.
speed.
She can be there now.
Yeah, that's right. She's
Hey.
there now.
She's
Dr.
now.
P, pump your brakes 10 speed. Going downhill too fast.
So
We get it.
great report. Thank
Thank
you.
y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thank
The only
you.
thing I wanted to add is that, first of all, just a wonderful job. But I think you've heard now several times that you all presented that the board is saying we need more of you. And I think that speaks to your work in bringing the urgency and the awareness around attendance and showing the things that you are doing are having a direct impact. And that's a tribute to all of you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All righty, Synergistic Annual Review and Energy Star Awards.
So welcome, Mr. Brown, and welcome our colleagues from Synergistic.
Madam President, Dr. Paluski, members of the board, I'd like to introduce our Synergistic partners. They will give you their 2025 Energy Savings Annual Report, and they're also going to recognize our buildings that earned Energy Star designation during the 2025 school year. And with me is David Wirt. He's our client manager, and Robert Glover is our energy specialist. So I'll turn it over to them, and they have a short presentation. Sure.
You look familiar.
Hey, how are you? Madam President, Dr. Paluski, distinguished board members, it's proud to be here and have the opportunity tonight to present this data for you. During the past performance year between October 2018 and September 2025, I have completed over 7,700 audits total, average of 21 audits per week, 6,000 of those audits, unoccupied audits, 1,622 occupied audits. The energy use trend and unit cost analysis, the energy use reduction is 37.2%. And if you look at the bottom, we'll look at the changes in the unit cost, which is very significant. In your electric, the change of cost has risen 19%, and you'll see that natural gas is up 44%. And that's since Summit took over. I'm sure all y'all are familiar with Summit by now. Okay, and then your water, it's up 32%. The energy use trend in unit cost, this measures the energy use per square foot. The cost average breakdown on your commodities like electricity, the usage avoidance is 28% on your electricity for savings of over $3.7 million. Your natural gas usage avoidance is 47% for $907,000. And then your water is 18%, a little over $200,000. So your total program savings is $4.894383 million. Program saving measures the impact of the energy program on the utility consumption and cost. This is the value of energy not used. This is 29.9% overall savings on your energy. The environmental, the environmental impact is 3,376 homes energy use for 1 year. You have taken 5,864 vehicles off the road for 1 year. You have 58,211 barrels of oil consumed and 8,884 tons of waste recycled. Now we have your Energy Star recognition. On average, Energy Star certified buildings use 35% less energy, cause 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions, and are less expensive to operate than their peers, all without sacrifices in performance or comfort. To earn Energy Star certification, buildings are verified to perform in the top 25% nationwide for energy efficiency and meet strict ventilation standards. Energy Star is the only energy efficient certification in the United States that is based on actual verified energy performance. Your 12 buildings awarded for the 2025 calendar year is Amboy Elementary, Boone Park Elementary, Crestwood Elementary, Glenview Elementary, Indian Hills Elementary, Lakewood Elementary, Meadow Park Elementary, North Little Rock Academy, North Little Rock High School, North Little Rock Middle School, Ridge Road, and 7th Street, now the North Little Rock 6 Academy, all achieved Energy Star Awards.
Great job.
All did very well. If you would, I'd like to come down and present y'all with the award and get Mr. Brown to take our picture. I can take those back to our building so that our stakeholders and everybody can see them.
We have a couple.
Do we need to double up? Go up? Okay.
You all are fine. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you so much.
I'll get it. Yeah, come on, let's come back, y'all.
Oh, we get to do it again? He's got the fancy camera.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on, I got something on it.
It's just,
Get that off there.
Are they all facing the right way?
Okay. All right, 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right. Backwards.
Yes, sir.
Oh. Alrighty. We are down to the last informational item, which is fiscal year middle school restructuring and reorganization.
Madam President, members of our Board of Education, for the record, my name is Greg Paluski, the proud superintendent of the North Little Rock School District. Joining me today is my colleague, Mr. Jacob Smith, who is the assistant superintendent of Network B. Tonight before you is the FY27 middle school restructuring and reorganization plan proposal. For our audience as well as our board, this is an information item now. In our special board meeting, it will be an action item, and the action this evening is your approval to send it to LPPC for 10 days for their review, approval, and then it will come back to you at the final or at the next school board meeting once that will happen. So we've been through similar restructurings, and what I want to be able to do is kind of just paint a little bit of a picture. I'm not going to read everything. Mr. Smith and I are not, but we're just going to hit some highlights. I think it's first and important when you read this document that there's a little bit of history of understanding how we got to the second largest middle school in the state of Arkansas. As many of you know, we had several middle schools at one time, Ridge Road, Rose City, Poplar Street. And when the millage happened, I believe in 12 and 13, the need for newer facilities became the consolidation of those middle schools into one school, which is Northeast High School, as it transitioned and combined with the high school, which we have now, which is how we got to about 1,700 students on a high school campus that are middle school students. We've known for a long time, and I get the reason at the time why that was made, certainly for a facilities and an efficiency standpoint. It's very unique of a system our large just to have one middle school. Typically, a school district our size has 3 or 4. However, we know that the size of the district has been a challenge. I know when I arrived, I heard that very clearly. We've lost students. When you look at our trend data over the last 15 years, when you see that first big dip, it's the same year that we started to merge into the current middle school structure that we have. With that being said, I'm going to roll right in here just to kind of summarize the school's data. What this table is in Table 1 and Table 2 is just a summary over the last 7 to 8 years of the letter grade. And so what you'll see is prior to the pandemic, and certainly when I arrived, so that's prior to the pandemic, and then as the year that the 6th grade campus split apart was in 1920, right in the middle of the pandemic. Obviously, there wasn't testing that year. All of our schools dropped significantly, and then we've been on our way to get out of that post-COVID era. The second line shows after this post-COVID era, you now have the LEARNS Act that comes into effect, and now you have the Atlas summative assessment. That's why when you see those indexes at 59 or 60, and then it jumps to 415 or 317, that's an indication that change is a new accountability system. So you move from one accountability system into a new accountability system, our simulated grade, and you've seen now that the state this past year has now had a new accountability system based upon the 9-cell system, which has got us to where we are today on each of those campuses in their letter grade. Mr. Poor came before you not too long ago, and in that presentation, and we're not going to go through all of that in great length, that's already been presented to you, but that's a lot of the qualitative and quantitative data, which is the rationale of why there needs to be a significant change on our middle school campus. Mr. Smith has linked that in there, and that's basically the diagnostic review. If you could just click on that for our audience as well, because we're going to come back and reference, but we just want to make sure that everybody knows that it's there. Thank you, Mr. Riddle. And you've seen this report. Thank you. And you've seen this report. If you just go to the table of contents, Mr. Riddle, just scroll down one to the table of contents. There you go. And you can see what the methodology, the findings, as well as the recommendations. There are 5 key priority areas. So not going to go through all that, but want you to know that this is some of the data and the rationale as to why there needs to be a significant change. Mr. Riddle, if you could take us back to our... Yep, if you scroll down, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Smith very briefly. Go on to the next page there. I got you, Mr. Riddle. And we're just going to highlight just a couple things, but I'm going to turn it over to my colleague as it relates to some of the rationale.
Thank you, Dr. Paluski, Madam President, members of the board. As Dr. Paluski said, really the highlights of these paragraphs are the things that came to light from our program review and some of the things we already knew as well, both as a community district, things of that nature, and Dr. Pelusi's discussed some of those. But not to read or go through anything, but the highlights are, the key findings are instructional systems are inconsistent, behavioral expectations and discipline systems are inconsistent across the campuses, educator support and accountability systems are weakly aligned, and current leadership capacity and district alignment in regards to everything, there is not a direction or consistency of support for systemic improvement at the rate in which we need to improve. The urgent priorities that were outlined in the program review are organized. We need to organize for coherent and urgent action. We need to strengthen instruction. We need to rebuild consistent behavioral systems and strengthen educator talent development, support, and accountability, and stabilize and strengthen school leadership. Really, we need synergy. That's what that report says, is we need an organizational structure and we need a leadership structure over the whole campus that provides a synergy that we can organize, support, and rally around students, teachers, all involved that are educating our kids so that we can create a cohesive process of improving student outcomes. You heard the RAPs present today in regards to some of those things we're doing. That needs to extend to our leadership structure and our organizational structure for our entire grade band of 6th, 7th, 8th, our middle school campuses.
Great, thank you, Mr. Smith. I'm going to move now into Table 3, and I'm going to just go through this crosswalk with you. You've seen these several times. This is looking at the current structure to the future structure. And then as I go through just each one, I'm just going to highlight that. You'll have that in front of you. And then we'll look at what the proposed new organizational structure is. I also want to say to you that any individual that is currently holding this position that potentially could be impacted, Mr. Smith and I personally met with each one of those individuals today. We did not want to go to the public. We did not want to do anything unless we first met with each one of those individuals out of respect for them so they could ask some questions. And they're anxious to see what the model looks like, but I do want to reiterate that we met with each one of those individuals today. So I'll go through this overview. So the first will be everything in blue. You'll see on the left-hand side. The recommendation is to restructure these current positions. And so I'm going to go through each one. So the principal of the 7th and 8th grade campus, at the end of this year in this proposal, that position will go away. The proposal is to reorganize that into the executive director of middle school improvement. Number 2 is the principal of the 6th grade campus. Reorganize that position into one of 3 director of teaching and learning for each grade, 6, 7, and 8. We're going to talk about smaller learning community model. Column 3 there, row 3, the 7th grade dean of students. There are 3 of those. Those positions will be eliminated in this proposal. In number 4, the middle school assistant principals, there are 3 of those. Those positions will be eliminated or restructured into supervisors of academic improvement in each grade, 6, 7, and 8. And our middle school assistant principals, which there are 2 of those will be restructured into the supervisors of student affairs, and I'll go over those in a high-level overview of 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then the North Little Rock Middle School Dean of Students, that position, which will be eliminated. So when we take all of that and we look at the cost of that, it's a little over $1 million. And when we look at the new proposal and the dollar amount, there's actually nearly a $70,000 savings from going from 11 positions in restructure to 10 positions. As we've said before, every time we've done this, the projections are on an average because it's going to depend on the individual that is selected for that position. Where do they fall? How much experience do they have? Where are they going to fall on the salary schedule? Then we would determine an actual dollar amount. So it's very possible we could save even more. It's just going to depend once we go through the interview process as we go forward. All of these positions, I want to be clear, these are school-based positions. Let me say that again. These are all school-based positions. These are not central office positions. The executive director of middle school improvement will be a direct report to Mr. Smith, and then those directors of teaching and learning will report to the executive director, and then those supervisors of academic and student affairs will report to their respective director of either 6, 7, and 8 as we'll go forward with this. But that is what the dollars and cents looks like. This is either going to be cost neutral, meaning not going to cost us any more because it's budgeted, or it's going to be in the cost savings category, which is where we believe it's going to be. So what I would like to review with you is, what does the new proposed organizational structure look like? So we know this is a large campus. So the fundamental research behind it is to break it into 3 smaller learning communities, or 3 small schools, if you will. So the executive director of middle school will be the principal of this entire school campus. That executive director, obviously looking for somebody that has anywhere between 5 to 7 years of successful school experience as a principal, and their ability to be able to move schools and outcomes for students. They will oversee and directly report to 3 directors of directors, each director, a director of teaching and learning for each grade, so 6th, 7th, and 8th. And this is where we start to create the smaller learning community and break this large comprehensive middle school down into smaller, more manageable units of not only relationship building, but structures and system. We'll just take the 6th grade there for an example. So underneath that director of teaching and learning will be the supervisor of academic improvement and the supervisor of student affairs. These 2 individual positions, they'll be, the task there is that they're instructional leaders, but they also have a conduit of being a point of contact. So that supervisor of academic improvement will be kind of the point of contact for curriculum instruction. So there's a point person to help organize. The second supervisor, or the second that will be attached to that, is a supervisor of student affairs. They will carry more of the lens of student services, behavior, attendance. You just heard from the wraparound service about attendance, and you saw where there's a big need in middle school in 6th, 7th, and 8th. So that will be the conduit to be able to support that. Underneath that, roughly right now we have about 520 students per grade level. So just like they're doing right now as they've moved into the teaming concept, that's not new necessarily for our middle school folks, but now it goes under a different leadership structure. So if you take 525 kids, and you're going to divide that into 3 or 4 teams of integrated teams of teachers. So that's an English teacher, a science teacher, a math teacher, a social studies teacher, and then they will be, ideally housed together. And I think this model is going to fit very well. And I'll talk about that in the middle as we move to the newer structure of the buildings that will be coming before us. So within each one of those teams, you've got an integrated, and that's where you really start to break this big school down into a much smaller school function. The other thing that I want to bring to your attention is executive director, director, and supervisor. This whole entire plan is based on an investment in leadership on that campus, and I'm convinced that we ought to pay for it. And in order to attract the best and brightest in the nation or in this area, we're going to have to pay for it. This is a tall order. We've known way before I even got here that there's been issues at the middle school. There's no doubt about that. And based upon all the data that we've gathered, the time, I believe, is now, and the urgency is now to make a huge structural change to that school in order to be able to move that going forward. So the other side of this model, which helps, is a lot of times we don't have built-in succession structures for people that want to move up in leadership. This is a built-in structure of itself. So in time, you could be a team leader per se, and maybe you aspire to be a supervisor of student affairs or a supervisor of academic improvement, or you one day aspire to be a director of teaching and learning. So it's built in its foundation that if the executive director ever leaves to get promoted, that those directors of teaching and learning, all of them should have the ability to be able to step up. And because we want to be able to recruit, but we also want to be able to retain top talent, because we know that's what changed schools. It's leadership over time, consistency, that changes outcomes. But as I've said a million times, it's the quality of the teacher, and the teacher of the classroom is the number one. But the second to that is the leader. And so in this structure, being able to have this smaller school. And as I transition, don't forget that the 7th and 8th grade building will be the first building that's built. On the top floor will be the 8th grade, and on the bottom floor will be the 7th grade. So now imagine on the top floor of that new building, that's the small school of the 8th grade. So now you have up on that floor that director of teaching and learning, those 2 supervisors working hand in hand, coaching teachers side by side. The expectation is our executive director, as they continue to monitor and coach each one of those directors. The directors of teaching and learning, what we're looking for are certified principals, anywhere between 3 to 5 that have a track record of moving schools. And that's literally the top tier of that leadership. I also see there's a lot of benefit here of cross-networking and teaming. So you can imagine the executive director is going to meet on a regular basis with those directors. But you're also going to see cross-functional, where the executive director is meeting with all the directors and all the supervisors. You're also going to see where the supervisors of academic improvement may be meeting with our curriculum folks to make sure that they're updated, so they're bringing that back to their campus, as well as those in student service with our student support center service. So there's lots of cross-networking or collaboration that would happen, but their whole entire goal is to move the school, period. Improvement. The other thing, and I'm not going to go through all of this, but what we've also done, just like we've done before, every time we've done one of these, we're transparent about the process, we're transparent about the rationale, we're transparent about the potential restructuring, and then we've always added the job descriptions as well. So they're all here, the executive director of middle school improvement, each one of those new positions, they're all there. We're not going to go through all those. However, these are still in draft form. We'll go through them again before, if it gets approved, before it gets posted. And I do want to commend my colleague, Mr. Smith. He's been through many of these, and he's done a lot of work on this restructuring and part of the visioning process in the work to do that. And I thank him for his leadership with that. With that in mind, that's what you have before you. That is what this proposal is. So before we start opening up to questions, just a reminder what the process is. Tonight is just simply to vote to go to LPPC and CPPC. After that, that will come back to you. The board has the final say to approve or not approve the restructuring of our middle school. If you do choose to approve, that will be about 2 weeks from now. That next Friday, we would begin posting these positions right away, so we can open up that candidate pool early in the hiring season. And then we're off to the races. We'll start scheduling those. Our timeline and our target is to try to have all these leaders sitting and before you to be approved, hopefully by April 1st or mid-April, but no later than May 1st, as we're already thinking about opening up the next school year. With that, Madam President and our school board members, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Instead of starting from my left to right, I'll just say, so everybody, I'm sure everybody has questions. Angela, do you have any questions?
Just so our public knows, let me ask you this.
Sure.
How do you plan on, say, searching, or what search pools are you trying, thinking about utilizing?
Absolutely. And
or how would you go about finding the talent? Or
absolutely. And number one, I do believe there's talent right here in Arkansas.
Absolutely, yeah.
However, what we will do is do our national publications, especially for that executive director. So a lot of times we use EdWeek for those. EdWeek is a national publication, and there's always a job board on there. There's a few others that we use. We'll put that on there. We'll put the directors of teaching and learning on there as well, that top leadership core. But we want to be able to open up this externally and internally as well. Great question.
Do you have any positions on here that you're just looking at as far as just an internal component? Maybe, hold on. I hit something and it's going nuts over here.
Sure.
Let me get back to the chart. What was that was in the pods? Okay, the smaller learning community level teams, like I guess on that supervisor of students.
Affairs.
Student affairs. Is
Sure.
that something that you would like would you post that open to everyone, or is that something that you would keep locally or internally, or how would you do that?
Yeah, I think,
Or you hadn't-
I mean, our idea is be able to post that internally and
Okay, gotcha.
externally as well. Is there something you want to add?
I was just going to say, to be consistent with every other reorganization we've done, we would post it both
Okay,
ways,
gotcha.
so that we can
Just
attract
have-
any talent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and have a larger pool to be able to pull from.
All right, I'm a fan. I like it.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Ms. Temple?
I have no questions at the moment.
Okay. So the way it's written right now, we're going from, according to everything that you've got, we've gone from 11 people to 10 people overall, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade campus.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to have $67,000 to $70,000 savings.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to go from 2 LEA numbers to 1 LEA number.
That's correct. That's also in there. That's also in the report as well. Is to combine into one LEA, and that's part of. If you go back to the report where it talks about the unification and the cohesion to being one school and to be able to ignite that with vertical teaming. You are correct.
So let's pause there for a second,
Sure.
because we're at a pivotal point where we are building the new middle school.
That's right.
Where this is, we're talking about the middle school.
That's right.
So we need to take a few of these things in consideration for placement of offices,
Yeah.
for strategic planning. We're going to use that.
Yes, and to your point, so if just to do a little construction here for a moment, we should be starting here shortly. And probably that build will be finished by next spring, roughly. So we're probably not talking about moving into this space until a year from now, into the summer, that kind of thing. This structure allows 1 full year before we move into that space and then start to set up that small school component on the 7th and 8th grade. And then once we're able to knock down 6th grade, and we'll go through that process within another year, then we'll be able to move them out of their structure and their building into the 6th grade building.
So effectively, in my mind, this is looking a lot like what the 6th grade campus is already doing. As far as responsibilities, the titles have changed, obviously, but as far as the teams, as far as who's over what, titles have changed, but it looks to me as the same structure. 6th grade is completely different than 7th and 8th grade campus. Again, it goes back to the non-cohesiveness. So with that being said, let's talk about the stipends. So with this being said, we're changing the language. We're no longer principals and assistant principals. We are now executive director, director, and supervisor. So with the executive director, we've got 33% stipend. Y'all know that's a hot topic for me. For 8 years, I've been trying to get rid of executive director stipends. So this is triggering me.
Sure.
So with that being said,
Sure.
then we've got a director at 27% stipend. We've got 6 supervisors at 20% stipend. So we've gone from 1 executive director at 33%, 3 director at 27, and 6 supervisor at 20%. Where prior it was 21, 24, and 16%. So that's a big number there. So once we start compounding those numbers and we start looking at that, is that what you're taking in consideration for an increase in salary, and yet we're still banking a savings?
Yes, ma'am. So to jump in from the perspective of the way we calculate that is we go to the mid-level and the mid-level in order to make an estimate. That's what we've done in every reorganization in order to give the board the most accurate depiction of what the salary is going to be. So that would be the master's plus 15 lane, and we go down to, I believe, step 12, if I remember correctly. There could be individuals that we hire that are less than that on the salary schedule, both in experience and education, and there could be individuals that are more. And so with picking the average, that is where the numbers fluctuate out to.
Sure.
But we cannot tell you with accuracy until we hire the individuals, just as
Correct.
every other reorganization
On
where
where
those
it
numbers
falls.
would fall.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's also go back. So like the last reorganization,
Sure.
we zero-based everyone. Got rid of positions, and then the new positions, anyone and everyone could apply for.
So those were restructured. That's right. Those positions were either eliminated or restructured to create the network model that we're in right now. That's true.
And so with this structure, we are what? Are we keeping our principals? Are we keeping our deans? Are we zero basing? What are we doing?
So no, ma'am. So we're reorganizing the current positions of the leadership at both campuses. So every position you see on the left, 1 through 6, those positions, just like before. So I want to make this clear because everybody says this when we do this. They're fired. They're not fired. This is not about performance. This is about restructuring to a new vision on how to improve outcomes for kids on that campus. So at the end of this year, if this is approved by the board, the current individuals in those contracts are good till the end of June. Effective July 1, the new positions begin, or if sooner, if we can, slot individuals and get them a jump start. But they traditionally will start effective July 1st. So the individuals impacted will have an opportunity, if this is approved, to apply for any of the positions in which they're qualified for. Mr. Smith and I have talked to every person today and said, we highly encourage you to do it. See what's out there. Some individuals are excited to see what this new model looks like. But I do believe, in my professional opinion, that this is the structure that we're going to need to be able to move the school. We all know we're in a sense of urgency. We're in a big sense of urgency, and I believe it's going to take the right leaders in the right structure to be able to improve outcomes for those students.
Okay, so let's play devil's advocate.
Sure.
So we just had this conversation with our leaders right now. So effectively, we have our current leadership, and say they're like, you know what, I don't even have a job come July 1st, so why should I even try for the rest of the year? And then we don't have the growth that we are in, I'm going to say desperate times needing before the state takes us over, because we have to show growth, right? That's what the state said. We have to show growth.
We have to improve every school.
Yes. So we've got a time clock on us. It
We
is
do.
a ticking time bomb.
We do.
To see what the state does.
I would say.
I heard you take a breath.
Yes, ma'am. I would say, what better way to throw your name in the hat for one of these positions than to show that you are improving outcomes for our students for the rest of this year?
Absolutely. Something else I was going to say that while you mentioned, but I can't remember that. Can't remember what I was going to say.
Let me make sure I'm understanding. Are you saying to make sure that they're not just giving up, like saying, what's the point? This is hopeless, and giving up and just not do their due diligence in the classroom?
I remember what I was going to say.
Is that kind of what you? Okay.
In the building, because these would be our administrators.
So one of the things that
I hate for somebody to do that.
One of the things that I do remember, and we have actually a track record of this. Every time we've done this, there have been individuals that got hired back. In every scenario, we've had employees that reapplied and got hired back if they were the right fit. And they're in those positions because they were the right fit. And that's happened time and time again.
I'll pause for now.
Ms. McLean?
We have to have a change. The State Board of Education told us we have to have a change.
Yes, ma'am.
Our Atlas scores have told us we have to have a change. So everything that you've put together here seems to be based on a lot of research, a lot of things that were in the report that came from
Ed Partners.
We know that there was not a lot of continuity going on from 6 through 8. This addresses that totally.
Yes, ma'am.
I think that I would hope that our employees would not do what you have said that could possibly happen. I would hope that would not happen. But I'm thinking of the State Board of Education that's looking at us right now. They're watching the North Little Rock School District and wondering what we're doing. And so I like this organization, each position, and see exactly what's covered under each one.
Sure.
I haven't had time to let that sink in. But the structure looks good to me. And They do have teams now. The teams are still staying in there, so
That's
that's
correct.
there.
We just wanna
But there'll
build upon
be
it.
some continuity going on and
Yes.
some standard operating procedures
Consistency.
that are happening at all grade levels.
Consistency. That's
And
right.
we need
Synergy.
that consistency.
Synergy. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Taylor?
I heard you saying that this is going to create synergy, crosstalk, cross teams and things like that for the administration, for how you do that. What can we expect with all this synergy and crosstalk and all things to happen in those smaller groups? What are you anticipating that's going to happen?
Achievement.
Okay, you said it.
I'll be the first one to say it. I'll be the first to hold myself accountable to it. That's the expectation.
Okay.
The school has to move.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
There is no other outcome than that.
Okay.
And it's going to take the right people in those positions and the right structure to be able to do that. But that is the expectation, that this school is going to move every year. Every year. That's my expectation.
And we're not moving now.
Is there a goal of movement that you're seeing that we're going to move every year, or is this,
So, I mean, once we're going to get the
is that
structure.
something you?
We're going to get the structure in place, and obviously we have performance targets, as you know, in Goal 1 and our target. I've met with the state board today, our representative, and Arch Ford, and I will tell you this, they've been across the district. I've been with them. I've done walks with them. They're very complimentary of the district and what's happening in the district in elementary school. They noted, what they said to me, it's amazing that the outside perception of North Little Rock, but when you're here, it's completely different. They mentioned they didn't see hardly any behavior issues, even at the middle school, even at that, in elementary school, in the high school. And I know we've come out of COVID, we've come out of some rough times. But I will tell you today, out of that visit, what the number one concern they have is the middle school. And we have that same concern. And I know this is hard, and change is hard, and it's not personal. But we have the responsibility to educate children. And we can't expect to keep doing the same thing and get a different result. And this is a different structure. This is something completely different that's not been done here at the middle school. But I'm just seeking your support, or at least, as we move forward tonight, obviously to send it to LPPC, but to support this. And we've got a lot of work to do, but every time that we've gone through this, the clock ticks, because we're already sitting and planning about opening the next school year. And so we'll use a lot of data points that we are right now as we move forward, and continue to, as we prepare and close out this school year. In fact, as I met with them today, we're going to be marshaling some additional resources into the middle school as well, beginning tomorrow, early next week, based upon the feedback that we've had.
Surprisingly, all my questions wasn't answered. Usually by the time it gets to me,
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
have any questions.
Yes, ma'am.
But first I want to say I like the model. I see the vision. I'm really liking the smaller communities together. I think that that's going to make a big difference, opposed to one principal being responsible for almost 2,000 children. It's going to make a big difference. But the questions, some are questions and some is just clarification.
Sure.
So it's only being sent to the LPPC because it's only affecting license, correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right. All those positions that are there to be reorganized, they're all in the license side. So that's why it doesn't impact a classified personnel.
Just wanted to put it out there.
That's a great question.
The other is it's just me. I'm already looking ahead. That 70,000 that we're saving, we might consider getting a rep for that. I'm just saying.
That's a pretty novel idea. I mean, you've seen what their work can do. If that was the case, and I didn't mention this, right? So each one of those small schools is going to have a counselor. The interesting thing about your comment is then you've got a wrap for each grade. And to be able to keep drilling down on that, on the attendance of those kids, to be able to support that, that's a pretty novel idea.
It was just
Yeah.
a thought.
No, I think
and
that's
the
a good
last
use of
one-
resources.
The last one is because of the murmuring, the name director. Can you explain again the difference? Because in the last reorganization we just had, we were eliminating directors.
Sure. So one thing to think about and consider is that would be comparing apples and oranges. So the restructuring that we went through in the spring, that was central office. And those are all central office positions and functions that serve the entire school district. These positions are school-based positions. They're not central office positions. They're all going to be within that school. That's where they're housed. That whole thing right there. And so the notion around bumping the salary up, with the title comes the salary, comes the responsibility, because this is a tall order we're asking. And that's why the incentive, there's twofold here in incentive. One, there's a compensation and incentive, and then there's a career incentive. Now I'm adding to my resume with a title, but with that title comes a lot of responsibility. And so that's the twofold, because it's back to recruitment and retention of this leadership team over time to be able to move it.
And lastly, I think to piggyback off of what Ms. Wonka was talking about with the percentage for the stipends, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Sure.
I'm thinking by the way that you explained it, as far as not knowing what level, is those stipend percentages a factor in the cost?
So
Yes.
it's going to depend on where somebody falls in the base, and then you add the 33% as an exact on top of that.
Okay.
It's just how the license schedule works. Good
Does
question.
anyone have any further
I
questions?
thought about something real
Yes.
quick, and just for my own informational purposes, as of right now, and I don't need exact numbers, but what are you averaging as far as each grade level, as far as the numbers?
Students?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of divided it. It usually in our school district, if you look about any grade, it's anywhere between 525, 540. That could be third grade, fourth grade, fifth
Right,
grade.
right,
They're all
right.
about that. So we just, to make it simple math, we just put kind of 500 there.
Okay.
That's give or take. It's usually going to be a little bit higher than that, maybe 525. But that's just to illustrate how we're going to break this large school into small schools. And they're doing teaming now, and we want to build off
Right.
the teaming that's happening just a little bit differently.
I just feel like this will kind of, if you will, just streamline things a little bit better and make it cleaner and give sixth grade an opportunity to focus on sixth grade.
7 to focus on
yeah.
7 and 8 on 8. And clear lines of communication,
Right.
clear lines of supervision of who do I go to, where maybe one person's being
Or
pulled
your
in
area.
multiple directors or your
Yeah,
area.
as a student, just
That's-
make sure that you have your particular area.
Right, and probably what's going to happen here too is, I know in the design, I'm making, I don't know the colors, but the architects have designed floors are different colors. So everybody knows if it's blue, let's say that's 8th grade, and red is 7th grade is on the second floor. So I imagine when we get these leaders on board, their IDs are going to have something is blue and something that's red. So you see somebody that's out of area, you're going to know very quickly. Now, as we said, their majority of their core instruction is going to be on that floor, but they'll have to move
Yeah.
for specials. But the core of what we're going to need them to do, they're going to be on that floor with those leaders being supported. Okay.
Yes.
I think Angela brought this up, and I've been sitting here thinking about it, but with the new building that we're doing,
Yes, ma'am.
we'll absolutely be able to customize that, because the building's there, but not exactly how the rooms will be and so forth. So we can customize it even further.
You can
for
personalize it,
eighth
sure,
grade
yeah.
level
I mean,
and
we've met with
seventh grade.
Dr. Redis and I had done. We were part of Taggart with their interior designers and given some feedback on behalf of all of us. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting that getting ready to build that building, but then literally having a 1-year jump start on the structure before we move in.
And not to jump on a different subject, but what you're talking about, they're going to bring to us
The final.
I saw it. I'm not happy with a lot of it. So
There's just a couple things that Dr. Rez and I don't necessarily agree on. It's a little too much
what
color.
you're talking about, they already have that in mind.
Yeah.
So that you can, it's definitive. This is 6th grade. This is 7th grade. This is 8th grade. It won't be any mistake color-wise. It's color coordinated, but it's a little too color coordinated for me.
And how the space is
They're
designed for
gonna
learning.
bring that to you guys doing when we're talking about construction and
Sure.
all that.
Okay, great.
But the only thing that I wanted to end with, because it happened last reorganization, and I'm sure it's going to happen again, the misunderstanding. If we approve this,
Yes, ma'am.
everyone that's affected can reapply.
That's right. They can reapply for any position which they're qualified for. That's right.
That's it.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Thank
Are there any other questions? Okay.
Yes, just for clarification again.
Sure.
With the new titles, the way we do our teacher retirement, they're still eligible to have the teacher retirement. Even though it doesn't say principal, even though it doesn't say assistant principal, we're still good, even though the titles are director.
Every
and executive
employee in the district qualifies for teacher retirement. Licensed, classified, everybody that earns a check.
So no matter the title,
Yes, ma'am.
Right. They'll still have
the opportunity, and that will not affect it.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
That's exactly right.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
All righty, we are moving on to the board meeting. I call this meeting to order. Roll call, Ms. Rhonda. Here.
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 She's here.
I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting that.
Make sure y'all awake.
We're down to public comments. Per Arkansas Code 6-13-619 and according to Act 902 of 2025, citizens who desire to speak during public comment must sign in prior and will be called to the podium. Speakers must meet one of the following criteria according to Act 902 and listed on the sign-in sheet: reside within the school district, be a parent or legal guardian of a student in the district, employed by the district. Public comments is not a question and answer period, and as such, school board members and the superintendent do not respond to public comments during a meeting, while we do encourage you to speak respectfully and professionally. Further, citizens will have no more than 3 minutes to speak and will not be allowed to make comments that shall prejudice the board of directors concerning student or personnel matters that could come before the board for disciplinary or employment considerations, or that is in conflict with other district policies or laws. Further, public comments that include slanderous remarks about school district employees or that would violate the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act are strictly prohibited. Personally identifiable information, discussion of student educational records, or reference to student directory information is not permitted during the public comment period. Speakers who violate these guidelines will receive a single warning and be respectfully asked to redirect their remarks. Should the speaker continue in violation, the board president will end the speaker's time and move on to the next individual. If the public comments go beyond 30 minutes, the board may require all public comments that go beyond the 30 minutes and are not about matters that are on the meeting's action items agenda to be held after the other items. We have one to come before us, Mr. John Lemon.
Same thing as every time. So I'm going to come here until I see progress. I didn't talk last time because I thought I would just have to wait. But I'll email Dr. Stoll for the gate book ban, getting the new policy. Is that the right person?
Yeah, you work with Colonel Steiner and I to, we'll get you. Well, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
We'll
I just want to see progress. So I'm coming here every day until
Not
I see
every day.
progress.
You coming every day?
Yeah, and you guys aren't here. Like, I don't.
I
get
was
it.
like,
I'm
wait
here.
a minute, did you just say every day? I was like,
Feels like I'm here every day.
Well, welcome, Mr. Ryder.
well, welcome for your daily
I
drop
learned
in.
a lot coming here. I like the reorg plan. I'll say that. I don't tend to like tall organizations. That middle school is huge.
Yeah.
Apparently it needs it. I'm shocked by it. That's all.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right,
Ryder.
Thank you. We're down to action items. The first one is the 2025-2026 revised district calendar proposal. Is there a motion?
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I so move that we accept the revised district calendar proposal of 25-26 as presented this evening.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that we approve the 2025-2026 revised district calendar proposal. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is adopted.
Madam President,
Yes, ma'am.
I also move that we accept the middle school restructuring and reorganization plan proposal to go straight to LPPC.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that we send the fiscal year 27 middle school restructuring to LPPC. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Ms. Rhonda. Send it. Yes.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
She's here.
Send it.
Yes.
Ms. Wonka?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Temple?
Yes.
Ms. Mercy West?
She says yes.
We're sending it. Thank you. Executive closed session. Executive closed session per Northwest School District Policy 1.14A stating that private or closed discussions by the board may occur as part of a regular or special board meeting. Executive sessions may be held only for the purpose of considering employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee, or to discuss matters of pupil punishment, if requested by the parent or legal guardian. No resolution, agreement, or motion considered in the executive session shall be legally binding unless the board reconvenes in public session and presents the item for vote of the membership. Finally, Arkansas Code Title 25, Chapter 19, Section 106, 2C1 states, the specific purpose of the executive session shall be announced in public before going into executive session. So please join me in the executive closed session for discussing the following: employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee. We are back in session. Our next action item is employment of personnel.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I also move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for employment of personnel.
Second.
It has been properly moved in second that we accept the recommendation for employment of personnel as discussed in closed session. Being that it is employment of personnel, there can be no discussion. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Is there a motion to go home?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
also move that we adjourn to go home.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second that we adjourn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?